Part 2 of my Transformers Cyberverse Chapter 3 Season 3 Part 3 review, Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures Season 3 Part review. I broke it into 2 parts because I want more money. 3 years on YouTube, and I've almost made $90. Last time, we discovered a conspiracy. Hasbro is clearly stealing ideas from my high school fanfictions.
Quintessence.
I am the Allspark. I am the Allspark.
And then also I talked about, Cyberverse a little bit. The text on this monitor literally translates to, I like pickles. Okay, we starting.
I am more powerful than you can possibly imagine. I shall
Probe them all!
Eat them all.
silence.
Okay, this was a good 4-parter. Way better than Battle for Cybertron. My only real complaint is these interludes with Cup. It became really frustrating and distracting when the story just kept stopping for this. Also, the fact that he's speaking in past tense about the events of these episodes automatically eliminates all stakes because clearly the universe was not destroyed. This was a great continuation of the Starscream storyline from Ghost Town, which is definitely the prettiest episode of the show. Also, why does Starscream keep becoming a head in the sky? This is not the first time. And apparently this alien head attached to Starscream is based on an alien species that appears in one episode of Rescue Bots. That is deep cut.
Grimlock, do you remember where they went?
Well, of course. They're off racing in the catalytic caverns.
Incorrect! They're scaling Mount Helix!
Nonsense! They took an Energon picnic to the beaches of the Argon Sea.
Don't lie, Skybite. They're both at the Velocitron Memorial.
But wait, didn't we see them blow up? Right?
I love everyone being bored of Starscream. The actual Transformers are the opposite of Transformers fans. We cannot get enough Starscream. Bumblebee and Optimus escaping this stair-step dimension was super fun. I would have loved to see more dimension hopping if the episodes were longer. 11 minutes, forgive me, 11 minutes isn't enough for something as story-based as Transformers. I was open to it when the series started. I was like, alright, let's see what they do here. But Cyberverse has proven that stories this plot interwoven need more time in order for the characters to shine through. And I love the design of this Titan's broken, shattered mindscape. For some reason, Stormfall is randomly significant again. It was just abruptly stated to be important during a Season 1 episode.
The legendary Stormfall sword. You've carried it all this way from Caminus.
But I suppose now we can actually see it being important.
You missed a spot!
But I buffed it. I buffed it all.
Cyberverse is the first and only time I've cared about Titans. I love the post-2012 IDW run. I've tried to read comics, tried to read Transformers comics, I just don't like comics. But just about everything they put out from 2012 to 2018 just sucked me in. It was incredible. But even those comics did not make me like Titans, which were a big part of those. The first 4 issues of Transformers Till All Are One were some of the most interesting Transformers storytelling I'd ever come across. And then midway through, they shoehorn a Titan in it for 4 issues, and I just zoned out. I couldn't care less. I was like, oh, go back to the Combaticons. But here, in Cyberverse, I actually care about Croaton. I want to see him get reunited with his missing people. Too bad the show forgot about that plot thread. Wait, that's the Quintesson ship. In this flashback from Season 2, they took his people. The writers had this all planned out. I just realized that. Alright. McAdam's ambiguous but horrifyingly powerful off-screen alternate mode is hilarious, and it's one of my favorite things the show did. Hot Rod and Soundwave eternally buffing a floor is also, it's just silly, it's funny. Criticism time, dog. Mac dies for no reason. straight up pulls a Saw Gerrera. He has this dramatic, my time has come speech, but he could just move a little bit to the left, you know? It's false drama, it doesn't make the story better, it's frustrating, but a recurring theme of Cyberverse for me is that no matter how much dumb stuff happens, I cannot make myself dislike the show as a whole.
Fighting your little fights, never winning, never losing. This ends now.
Soundwave fights a big army of hue-changed Soundwaves is just cool, and then Megatron's re-entrance into the fray with a second Matrix of leadership is the best. It's just a really cool climax. It all makes sense. It was a well-paced story. I loved it. It's a wonderful conclusion. It's a really good It's a really good conclusion to the Quintesson arc. Okay, conspiracy time. The end of the universe 4 is the final nail in the coffin. The undeniable, undisputable evidence that Hasbro is ripping off ideas from not only your boy Kian's YouTube channel, all right, but they are hacking the depths of my laptop's hard drive. We need to investigate further. Y'all remember that a Transformers Combaticons story idea I've talked about once or twice? Me neither. But basically, in early 2018, I came up with the idea for a Transformers series centered around heavily fleshed out versions of Onslaught, Brawl, Swindle, Blastoff, and Vortex, a group of unrelated convicts and criminals, or in Vortex's case, an idiot cop who doesn't fully realize what he's wrapped up in. Traveling the galaxy in a post-war world, united under a common goal: to find the missing Megatron and try to re-spark the Great War, which they didn't think ended fairly. They all have their own conflicting motivations for doing this. For example, they all want to find Megatron. Onslaught wants to recruit Megatron to their cause, and Blastoff wants to kill Megatron. I've written a really detailed 42-page pitch bible describing the premise, the characters' personalities, and a springboard for several potential episodes, and the general storyline spanning multiple seasons. I made the free fall animation based on this series concept, more specifically a potential sequence from season 1's finale, but all of their designs have changed since then, and will no doubt continue to evolve in the future. But a major selling point for this series was that it would introduce a bunch of obscure Autobots and Decepticons from past series and comics and put them in the forefront. Why is this relevant? Because Combaticons was gonna be the show to introduce Whirl, Bludgeon, and Tarn, and reintroduce characters like Lugnut, Skybite, and Astrotrain. But Cyberverse had to go and ruin that. And Astrotrain is just too much. I've never been a fan of mass changing, so my vision of Astrotrain was a troop carrier with a really big robot mode. And this big bad boy, he was a bit of a prankster. He was just a big loud jerk who messes with everyone around him, and he was the embodiment of chaotic evil. And guess what? Cyberverse said, "Oh, we'll take that idea, thanks," and snatched that away from me. All right. Well, they had the idea to reintroduce some characters. There's no conspiracy. Well, my friend, this goes just a little deeper. Combaticons isn't the only Transformers concept I've come up with. It's probably my most interesting one, but it's not the only one. In fact, middle school for me was just 3 years of coming up with pitches for Transformers series. And one in particular is particularly relevant to this little investigation. I'll leave the name anonymous for now because that will expose another layer of conspiracy, but this show was set during the Cybertron Great War, its own continuity, its own thing. Middle school Kian was just watching Gotham back when it was masquerading as a good show. It was like, we're gonna be good eventually, and I bought it. And I watched the Penguin do all these sneaky, mischievous things, and I was like, what if that was Starscream? So I just wrote everything Penguin did, hit Control F replace, made it Starscream, and then I made a Transformers show around it where Starscream starts out as like a common expendable ground seeker, slowly rising through the ranks. He doesn't know Megatron at first, He's manipulating everyone around him, playing both sides, until eventually he has Megatron and Optimus in his back pocket. He's essentially like war profiteering, but profiteering power and leadership. It was a Starscream origin story. And then also, Soundwave and Shockwave would have had a deep personal rivalry, both vying for Megatron's approval, with Shockwave loyal to the Decepticon ideals, and Soundwave loyal to Megatron specifically. But as the series developed, none of these characters were the protagonist. The 3 series leads were Optimus, Hot Rod, and Megatron. And yeah, I spent 5 minutes criticizing the character designs of Cyberverse, but the stuff I make looks like this. The irony is not lost on me. Basically, Optimus takes the reckless punk kiddo Hot Rod under his wing because he sees himself in him or something generic like that and kind of grooms him. But then Megatron and Optimus have an elaborate history, as always, nothing really new in particular. And what I later came to look back at as a stupid idea, Cybertron was evenly divided in half along its axis. There was just trench warfare going around the entire planet and constantly shifting boundary lines, like a planetary turf war.
Half of Cybertron is mine. You and your Autobots stay on your half.
Okay, but that's not all. Because our big Megatron here, he comes out with a matrix of leadership. Wowee, what an idea. Well, guess what, friends? That idea was written by me in my middle school Google Doc in 2013. See, in the season 2 finale of this Hot Rod Optimus Megatron show, Optimus would have died. Surprise, surprise. But Hot Rod would have been groomed up as this potential successor to Optimus. He's really expecting the Matrix here. But the thing is, Megatron's had something of a redemption arc over the season, and Optimus would have given the Matrix to Megatron in a complete subversion of expectations. Optimus ultimately trusts Megatron more to lead their people to a better place, and in Hot Rod's jealousy, he, the protagonist, denied of becoming Rodimus, becomes the villain of the series moving forward, or for a while, it would have been redeemed or whatever, something. So Megatron getting a Matrix, my original bombshell idea I had in middle school, ruined, stolen by Cyberverse. And I promise that while this show seems kind of cool, really the only cool things are what I told you about it. It was a mess. It's a disaster to look at these docs and how unorganized they are since I made it in 7th grade. But anyways, what was the name of this show, you're asking? Nothing other than Transformers Till All Are One. The conspiracy deepens. They've been stealing my ideas since 2018. I did not research the release date when I made the initial recording. I was just going off of my own false memory. Since 2018! I want to apologize to my fans for this misinformation. I know that this has hurt a lot of lives. I want people to stop coming after my family. This was my mistake. Don't blame it on them. I think we as a community just need... Let's explore further. Till All Are One focuses on the Combaticons, who would have been recurring villains in my version of Till All Are One, appearing 1 episode each, and then not uniting to Combinus Bruticus till like the end. But let's re-explore my Combaticons series concept, which also focuses on the Combaticons. I tried thinking of ways to add diversity of personality to this cast of 5, and the most organic way to do that was by gender swapping either Vortex or Blastoff. That was actually in the first ever text I sent to my friend Kian about this idea. Then, as the story developed, I almost wondered if a slight hint of a romantic connection between Onslaught and Blastoff would add to their tension of their recruit/kill Megatron conflict. So I was like, I'm progressive, that's marketable, I made this character a girl. But then comes in Till All Are One, which, by coincidence, also includes a full-out romance between Onslaught and Blastoff. But do they gender swap Blastoff? No. They just make them gay. So now, they're even more progressive than me. So my version is now unprogressive in comparison. Mine's progressive in the 1960s, maybe, but it's nothing compared to this. So now, they're not only stealing my ideas, but they're actively sabotaging my ideas to make them out of date in today's gender-fluid society. I realized only after editing all of that the Hasbro version came 2 years before I made mine, thus completely invalidating everything I just said. In my defense, I didn't read till All R1 until 2019, so I did have the idea before I read it. Okay, turns out there's no conspiracy. We're good. Remember Transformers Cyberverse?
So, you get any of those powers?
Don't know. Don't think so.
Maybe we got them and don't know. Autobots unite!
Decepticons attack!
I got nothing.
And finally, Bumblebee actually plays a role in the season named after him. Now, the last 7 episodes of the season are random quest time. Basically an excuse for the writers to explore the cool, unrelated episode ideas they had stacked up. It's interesting how the seasons are structured. They're so freeform. Things just take as long as they need to, and it's not really something I've seen before. I haven't talked about it much in this Cyberverse review, but Optimus really has grown into one of my favorite takes on that character, ever. They took a lot of animated Optimus's social awkwardness and really expanded on it, resulting in an insecure and imperfect Optimus that's really sweet and relatable. And this is a nitpick, it really doesn't matter, but why do they have Cybertronian modes now? Those were their Cybertronian modes. In the season 1 flashbacks, set on Cybertron, they were in Earth car modes, so those are technically their Cybertronian modes, right? Okay, speaking of that, I do miss the flashback setup. It's weird how the show just like abandoned its premise, but it also shows that the show wanted to explore new things and not limit itself to a formula, so that's really nice. Okay, I basically went over this a couple episodes ago, but Shadow Striker gets a nice little moment where she helps out Bumblebee, and it's nice, and I wish more of that could have happened before the show finished.
Bumblebee raised her hand to the side of her face, where Shadow Striker had smacked her.
And this Autobots Unite thing, it's a mixed bag to me. They're overpowered now. And sometimes that helps the story, and sometimes that hurts it. It helps the story breeze past things we've already seen before, like breakout attempts, but it's also a complete cop-out a lot and just gets the characters out of situations. It was a cool climax to the Quintesson arc, but it's kind of weird that they just have these powers now.
I am Thunderhowl, Knight of the Primes, Defender of the Realm, loyal servant to...
Yes. Welcome to the Autobots.
Basically, this is the mirror car episode of Infinity Train, but just not as interesting. It had really fantastic visuals though, and that's kind of what the episode's built on. I don't find Thunderhowl to be a compelling character. He's just Jetfire, but a cat. And, okay, here's an issue with Autobot Power, Autobots Unite. Thunderhowl says that they have to go through this visually interesting sequence and maze and dangerous crystal thing, which could be fun, but Bumblebee says, no, I will skip that, and just nonchalantly blasts through it.
We stand before a great and terrible danger. None have ever passed through the crystal labyrinth alive. Once we step inside, every image will be our enemy. We will take every step backs to each other.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Scrap that.
Autobots unite!
So why even show this maze then? I don't know.
I am a very good shot.
So am I.
Whoever had the idea for Percy to run McAdams should get, like, a high five or something. So, Westerns aren't my thing. I've never really watched any, but pretty much the entire foundation of this episode is either a parody of a Western or an homage to a Western. And because I don't have much experience with Westerns, I can't tell which one it is. I can't tell what it's going for, so I'm honestly not, like, qualified to review the episode. I don't understand Wild Wheel's whole backstory thing. Went bad, trying to get back to Cybertron. Like, what does that even mean?
But you left me on that planet, and I went bad.
It's just a weirdly paced episode, and I don't think it stuck its landing, but Cyberverse is a show made for exploring fun, one-off concepts like this, so it's the perfect place for it to happen.
The aliens. They're targeting you for some reason, B.
Why are you so excited about that?
Because it means we're close. Let the alien hunt begin.
No more alien hunting.
I like this one. It's funny. It's just a weird, fun premise. It's cool to see Shockwave, Blur, and the Season 1 Seekers again. The main lesson of this episode is supposedly overcoming your fears.
Orbicular-class parasitic entity types feed off fear. That's why you were seeing all those things. We've got to attack it without feeling any fear whatsoever.
It falls flat because Bumblebee literally has no reason to be afraid here. He has his Autobots Unite superpower that solves the alien problem without a hitch.
So this party's a charity event. Are you donating to the bugs? Seems like they really need Energon. You don't give bugs Energon. If you give bugs Energon, you'll just get more bugs.
This one blew me away. This is an amazing idea for an avenue of Cybertronian culture. I loved this. The Energon Masters are up there with functionalism for me as just something that makes so much sense. And then the Energon Masters being the repugni things completely caught me off guard. I'm probably stupid, because maybe it should have been obvious in retrospect, but I did not see it coming. Because the designs don't give it away, but once they all transform, it feels so obvious in retrospect. The concept of us all being the same, but arbitrary systems being put in place to keep us separated has actually just become way more relevant in today's society around the time I'm making this video. And it's like, we need episodes like this. I don't know how much children's television will do to solve systemic problems in our society, but I like the message. I just wish, again, there was 22 minutes, because 11 minutes is not really enough time to fully dive into class and racial divides.
Time to pay Ratchet a house call, 'cause he's a doctor. Yeah, and time to pay Jetfire a jet call? Yeah, 'cause he's a jet.
After 3 seasons of Rack and Ruin being completely irrelevant, they're suddenly the funniest characters in the entire show. I was genuinely laughing this entire time.
We're so good at this. That's 'cause we're so stealthy.
Literally got the Ultra Class Rack and Ruin toy because of this episode. And also Clobber. I love Clobber. Why is she gray? I love Clobber. They're funny. Astro Train is great. And interestingly, Soundwave and Shadow Striker are completely on the outs. I'm not sure when or why that happened. Is this the first time in Transformers that Megatron has casted Soundwave aside? Because if it is, could have done something really interesting with that, since Megatron and Soundwave tend to have one of the richest dynamics in the franchise. But
long have I waited.
sorry, wrong footage.
Long have I awaited.
This show is pretty a lot of the time. 3D shows don't usually have such a distinct art style like this. The episode is also creepy too. This might surprise you, but I actually thought this episode needed to be longer to flesh things out. I know, I'm beating a dead horse with another dead horse, but it's seriously inconvenient. It never kills any episodes anymore, but it would help them a lot.
Not now. Let me in. Astro train. Every single time.
What took you so long, Dead End?
Would have been here sooner if you didn't shut every door in my face.
Teletran X says you have a 5% chance of success.
Wait, how is Teletran X alive? I don't understand how this character's consciousness works. It's Tarn. Or basically Tarn. I flipped when I saw him show up. I love him. His face looks dumb, though. I don't like his face.
Oh my God, what's wrong with your face?
But I like the rest of him. And then the other one's arrival is so imposing, and I think more time should have been spent developing it. Like, as soon as this end of the universe arc was over. Because they gave us 11 minutes to build up his arrival. It's not really enough time.
Hello, everyone. What is this?
We are celebrating your return.
I missed you, Windblade.
So, none of this episode actually matters. Windblade's told she has to destroy the Matrix, and then 10 minutes later, it cuts back to her doing it, and then the problem is solved. So everything that happens in between was of no consequence. Oh, this is such a cool idea! The other one is an alternate Megatron in an alternate universe where he succeeded in killing Optimus. That's so creative.
What you're telling me is you're still not the ruler of your tri-state area. Well, obviously you did not have to deal with my nemesis, Perry the Platypus. Oh, didn't I? Observe. What is it? This is Perry the Platyborg. He was once my nemesis, but now he is general of my army.
And that could have been such an interesting character, an interesting villain, but they introduced him in the last 10 minutes of the show. That's what Cyberverse is gonna be remembered for. It introduces 100 really cool ideas, but doesn't really dive into any of them. It's anticlimactic how the show ended. I'm sad to see Cyberverse go. I would have really enjoyed more stories in this world. But that's what you get when you're a Transformers fan. Non-stop disappointment that you're ultimately pretty okay with. We're such a chill fan base. Star Wars has a bad movie, and everyone loses their crap. And we have a bad movie, and we're like, oh, must be Tuesday. And then we get Stockholm Syndrome and we start to like the movie. It's weird not knowing what's next. Is War for Cybertron like the next main show? Please don't let it be. It's gonna be just like the Prime Wars trilogy. It's made by the same company. Don't be deceived. Like, the individual screenshots of the show, they all look great, but in motion, it's not good. I know what stiff animation looks like. I've spent months making it.
You're fighting to win, and that's gonna get you all killed.
Why the heck is Bumblebee the one who's saying, oh, you're all gonna die? Bumblebee is the light of hope that even Optimus looks to when he can't get through his darkest hour. He was the worst possible character to have deliver this line. Anyway, to me, Cyberverse doesn't really function like a traditional show. Season 1 felt like a show maybe, but ultimately, Cyberverse was more like a pool of ideas. A collection of Transformers fans who have brainstormed on the ideal outcome for future versions of stories and characters, and I really hope future series pull from Cyberverse, because there's a lot of great stuff here. I think the biggest difference between me during Chapter 1's review and me now is how I view creative teams working on projects. Back then, I was like, this is a team of professional writers. How is their story not perfect? How are their flaws? But now, I've really come to realize that writers are just people. They've been really transparent in the time since that they were figuring it out as they went along. They learned a lot from the show just as anyone would from any experience. Every time I release a video on this channel, I immediately pick out 100 things that are wrong with it, and I never want to watch it again. And that really leads to the betterment of yourself in the long run. Criticizing everything I've made is the reason that what I used to make looks like this, and what I make now looks like this. And realizing things like that really made me connect to the Cyberverse writers so much more. They're just ordinary people who happen to be writers and are facing the odds of writing this show. Matt Youngberg, Derek J. Wyatt, and Marty Eisenberg are, from my understanding, the three primary men who made Transformers Animated what it is. A wonderful show that knew what it was trying to be from episode 1 because it had squared away professionals working on it with a clear vision. They all have big names for themselves in the industry. Marty's worked on a ton of mainstream animated shows, Derek's designed half of Cartoon Network since 2003, and Matt is currently the showrunner of the DuckTales reboot, which is just fantastic. And this is just not as interesting to me, the people. Even though I adore animated, it's really the core of my love for Transformers as a whole. I find myself thinking about and looking at the social medias of the Cyberverse writers way more than the TFA guys, although I don't think Marty Eisenberg has any social media. He strikes me as the kind of guy who would hit the wrong button on his TV remote and then just have the static and have to call his son to help him get back to the right input. Anyway, that's really a major lesson I've taken away from this. As much as Cyberverse falters, no matter how much time I spend complaining about things that it does, I can never find it in me to dislike or give up on this series because I really respect it. It's the same reason that Cyberverse's socially awkward Optimus is so much more endearing and lovable than the perfect chosen one Optimus from the Aligned continuity. And it's funny that this is the lesson I took away from Cyberverse. It's not even the theme of the show. It's just something that I took away completely from my own experiences. But it really is what I'll remember. It's actually changed me since it started airing. In little ways, sure, but it did. And this is the first time I've actually been anticipating new episodes of a Transformers show every week for a good while. It really connected with me, and I'm sad to see it go, because it was something special. Now we might as well look back at some of the Season 4 plans. May Cat ran a live stream in April 2020 where she discussed some of the ideas that were proposed for a 4th season. It would have introduced characters like Ultra Magnus, Rumble, Frenzy, and a female version of Jazz. I really like that, actually. Something on the table before his ultimate death was decided on was maybe a redemption arc for Starscream, where he gets amnesia and works for the Autobots. And it would have had crossovers with other Transformers shows, such as G1, Prime, and Anime. Oh, hello there. Would you like to like the video or subscribe? I probably should have asked that earlier, but I just remembered after I finished editing to say that. Also, vote for me. I'm running for office, president of the entire universe. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna run it.